Welcome again, everyone. The Weekly Joe podcast. This is episode 6. It's Sunday night, end of the regular season. We're heading into the SEC tournament starting Tuesday. I'm your host, Paul Graham. Follow us on @WeeklyJoePod on Twitter. I've got with me tonight. Everybody say hi and tell them who you are. Start, Griffin. Tell them.
Hey guys, Griffin Smith from Dallas.
Dallas. All right, Hunter.
Hunter Johnson from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
As can be told by the
Dexatines t-shirt.
Representing the brand. Roger.
Roger Myers, and I run Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, there you go. He does. He absolutely does. Megan, Dr. Megan Dennis.
Megan Dennis, currently in Tuscaloosa, originally from Scottsboro, Alabama.
All right. Just like Auburn's starting pitcher last night.
Yes.
And finally,
Drew Champlin, Hoover, Alabama.
All right. Drew, yeah. Okay. So you got burglar bars on your window?
Please be safe for the love of God.
I am.
The feral kids are ready to come out. It's the.
I can't believe how far the dangerous Hoover deal has come since Mark Jennings and I talked about it on the pod. I mean, I posted something on Facebook about the tournament, and this guy that I know, good guy, he's a UAB fan. He would have no idea why we're saying dangerous Hoover, but he comments, "Be safe and dangerous Hoover." So even though he goes to the Hoover YMCA like I do.
But, well, those children are going to be out, and I mean, they've been waiting on this. They've been sitting in those woods out in right field, ready to come, and
they'll be there, and they'll be feral. All right, so we're recapping this weekend our biennial. Is that right? Biennial trip down to Auburn for a series with the Barn. We did drop 2 of 3. Tough game Thursday night. No batting. The bats weren't there. Decent pitching. We a couple of defensive blunders. Just a wild game on Friday that we were so close to pulling out the end after being so close to getting run ruled maybe an hour earlier. And then the big win last night on a big bounce back day on the day you had to have it. Roger, you were there. Megan, you were there. We spent some time together. There, I was there. Token Barner Evelyn, our executive producer, who's here in the corner. Thanks for your help. We were all there. Little reflections on Auburn University, Auburn, Alabama, and Roger, you go first.
It was, other than the results of the first couple of games, it was a good trip. It's Auburn gets a bad rap from the Gumps.
Yes.
It's a fine place. I just don't like the athletic program.
Megan, your thoughts?
Got to see my great niece.
Oh yeah,
the niece. So that was.
Megan.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time I've been down more than like going down and back for a game. It's fine. I mean, do I want to go back? No, it's Auburn. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. Their stadium is, I think, going to be really nice when they finish those renovations.
Oh, absolutely.
hopefully they get some new lights.
Yeah. There's some definite upgrades in it. Those of you watching on TV, and I'm sure they addressed it, and I know they did on Thursday night because I saw it. They're adding it's really gonna be a little more of a kind of a luxury type,
And they're moving their press box down there too, and they're turning that press box area. That's going to be a premium seating spot, and then they're putting seats on top of their green monster that they have to have because there's an electrical facility right behind there. It's not because they chose to do that; it's just because they have to.
Yeah.
But I did not go this weekend, but Auburn's a good trip, man.
It is fun.
The food scene down there, obviously I'm a Tuscaloosa guy through and through. Food scene down there kicks our ass big time, between Acre, which I saw that Roger went to, Lucy's, the Hound. They've got a really, really good food scene. They got a session location down there. It's a fun spot to visit, other than the Barners.
It is. Fun trip. Yeah, your fun trip. It's changed so much. I mean, I had not been down to Auburn in 9 years. It's 2015 game when they flooded the football field.
We rode down there together for that.
We did. We sure did. And so I first time I've been there in a while, but a lot has changed, particularly in the area down by the square. And it's like any big college campus right now, Mississippi State, for instance. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a new building going up. There's a there's a crane over here, there's a crane over there. So it's good. It's good and good to see Auburn, Georgia, some of these programs, Tennessee. We don't give a shit about the rest of the SEC, obviously, but I think it's good for SEC baseball that when we get to go to these places once in a while, or that their fans are getting a better setup. Big crowds at Auburn, honestly.
How did the Barners treat y'all?
Oh, great! It's fantastic. Yeah.
No issues with anybody.
No. Usually if you're not looking for trouble, you can get.
I would say that might have been different if I was with y'all.
Oh yeah, or some that seem to run into trouble anywhere they go. But they were.
I get treated awesome down there every time I go down.
Yeah.
Like for football games, end up with a bunch of tailgates to go to. I get treated phenomenal.
Yeah, we spent a good hour or more downtown. Just people watching. Really, Roger and I, we did the touristy stuff. When we sat on the Timbers Quarter, sipped a lemonade. I tried to get Token Barner Evelyn to video me doing a Roll Tide Willie ranking of Toomer's lemonade, which you can imagine how that would have gone.
But, is that a man's lemonade or a woman's lemonade?
and I don't know how they would have taken it, thrown a Toomer's cup in the middle of the street. But
you probably would have gotten arrested.
That's right. But a really good time. We stayed over last night. We did not stay through. A couple of diehards here on this panel stayed through the 2-hour, I believe, 37-minute rain delay. And when I mean rain delay, this was like a hailstorm. This was. I drove back to my hotel, and the last mile of driving, I was getting, pummeled by hail. Circulating wind. I thought I was in a debris ball. And
why did they even play the rest of it? Why didn't they just? I mean, the game was
good
official.
question. Thoughts?
It was coming from the SEC office, and I think it had to do with. They could have called the game, but everyone just kept saying the SEC says it has to be finished.
They even indicated that if we had to come back this morning and finish the last inning, they would have done that.
Yeah.
Because since 5 teams with the same
record,
and just the tiebreakers, and Alabama having the by virtue of winning the series with Tennessee, I guess having the overall tiebreaker over everybody else.
Yeah.
But there was a handful full of people that stayed.
Mostly Gumps, right?
Blaine Adams' dad and little brother stayed. Chris Kenty stayed. The Gassetti family. Luke stayed, and his granddad.
Which shout out to Chris Kenty for getting in competition with the Here We Go Tigers man from Auburn.
Barn guy,
He is taking on that role for us next year, is what he's saying.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
And but get this, even after all of that, after we sit there for 2 hours and 45 minutes and we go back and start, and the announcers say, okay, the senior day autograph event has been moved from the field to right above the dugout after the game is.
Did y'all go get autographs?
No, we didn't, but I don't know who was left. I don't think there was any.
Probably not the Auburn fans. Yeah,
there were some student type age people and then parents and girlfriends.
Yeah, I went to.
Alton's parents were there, and Braylon's parents were there, and others too. That's just one real quick.
I caught the last inning on the radio when it came on. I found it on 100.9 and online, and yeah, you could definitely you could hear a pretty strong presence at Gumps, and so good for y'all for staying through it. But fortunately, I've ended. Fortunately, we did get to play that inning because I really wanted to make sure, was glad Ian's home run counted, because if you call the game with in the middle of an inning like that, those stats for that inning don't count. We learned so. That wiped that out, but that would have wiped that out. But
and that was an absolute tank too.
Oh yeah.
Like we were watching the game at session. I think I have my ESPN login on every TV in there and made them put it up on there. And ball off the bat, I just went bye.
Yeah,
you just knew it was coming.
Yep, they hit a few like that this weekend. We did not, but that one in particular was probably the one that Snell hit. You kind of wondered.
Right.
TJ hit one that we really,
I thought it was,
you
man.
can usually tell, right? You know, we're there. We can usually tell. And I think we got a little fooled on that one. We thought that one was going.
I really thought it was gone.
Yeah, and that would have been something. But anyway, good weekend. Let's talk about the games a little bit. Thursday night, 4-2 loss. Outstanding outing by Tanner Bauman. I mean, the pitching, and you saw it this weekend. I mean, if you guys watch these games, I mean, Auburn got two really solid starting pitching
from out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, right. And then when they went to that bullpen, aside from a pocket here or there, and definitely on Thursday night, boy, it was rough stuff, and you wondered. We were sitting here talking last week about how it really shouldn't be that bad. Well, the bullpen's just bad. I mean, it just they had trouble throwing strikes. They hit a lot of guys. Drew, you watched this. You watched all these, obviously, reflections on the Thursday night game and just what went wrong. I got some thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to have to remind me which defensive errors we had. I think that was the one where this was the game where the ball hit Max when he crashed into Hammeter. Okay.
Yes.
We technically didn't have any errors.
No errors.
Oh, that's right. So it's like their guy pitched really well. He had our left-handed hitters hit Jump and even Hagen Smith better than we hit this guy. It was his last game of his college career. For all I know, he looked like an elite pro prospect there. He probably won't get drafted at all. Seemed like a nice kid on his mid-game interview the next day, though, so kind of rooting for him to succeed. But I think you look at that game and the mistakes we had, we couldn't overcome those at the plate. And then when I look at the Grant at second and Hammeter in right field, not going to be your best defensive pairing. But I also wonder how many innings have those guys played together?
Probably not many.
Not many.
But
it's
still a second baseman and a right fielder.
Yeah.
In every level of baseball, if the right fielder's coming in and calls it off, get out the damn way.
Yeah. I'm going to assume Hammeter did call it off.
He was clearly
very blatant.
Yeah. So I wish Evelyn had been out there for that reason. I feel like that play would have been made if he had been there. Max did make one nice diving play in maybe game two.
No, that was last night, I think.
It was last night. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he made a couple nice plays, but it's a clear drop. But maybe they feel like Max is a better option offensively. But if we're playing that lineup, we have to be hitting the ball and scoring more runs.
Absolutely.
And our plate appearances were just ass on.
Yeah, it was a horrible night.
I mean, with us being so heavily with lefties, it is what it is. But going up against a guy who's really, really good against lefties, like it was very, very frustrating.
Yeah, we drew 3 walks all night on that staff, and I mean Bauman was not a strike guy. Will Cannon, who we saw again Saturday night, just didn't walk anybody in 3 innings. It looked like Cy Young winner. Griff, your thoughts on that night, your things you saw that stood out.
I mean, unfortunately, the plate appearance was just a head scratcher. There was just no offensive rhythm. I just was very perplexed as to what the philosophy was at the plate, because we had talked that we weren't expecting the pitching to be all that great, and then all of a sudden we made them look like rock stars, and I'm just it was confusing, and then it got to me for a bit to just be a tad concerning to think that, okay, I get it, what happens this weekend isn't going to move us from 7 or 8 down to 2, but we're going to get into tournament play and regional play coming up, and we need to do a whole lot more than what we did on Thursday night.
So here's Hunter. Somebody made a point. Our lefty batters in that game. All right, again, we had 8 hits that night. Gage had 1 righty. LeBron had 3 righty. Gassetti had 2 righty. 6 of our 8 hits were by our right-handed batters.
Hammeter had 1.
Yeah, Hammeter had a hit. Hodo had another hit. All right. But you go down the order. Trust is 0 for 4. Snell's 0 for 4. McCants is 0 for 3. Grant's 0 for 2. Evelyn got an AB later and went 0 for 1. And again, we're a heavy lefty lineup, and it's been a little bit of it's been a challenge all year hitting lefties, particularly good SEC lefties. This wasn't quote a good SEC, wasn't Hagen Smith out there by any means. But he looked good that night. Take nothing away from the kid. He threw a great game. And then Will Cannon coming in. Will Cannon's been around. He's thrown some SEC innings. but you saw him with a 3-inning save that night. Gets through on 36 pitches in 3 innings through our, just mows through our guys. So rough night. Ferrone, not a bad outing. I mean, 3 earned runs gets you into the 6th at Auburn. Meghan, you feel like, what more can you ask for your starters, right?
Yeah, I mean, all weekend our starters did what asked. I think Greg took longer to kind of find his groove than I
Mhm.
think it has earlier in the season, but he settled in and did his job.
Yeah.
At one point, I was getting ready. I felt like he was probably going to come out soon in the 6th, and it was before we gave up that run. And I was getting ready to tweet "hell of an outing by Greg Ferrone."
Right.
And then we give up the run, and he ends up getting taken out. Which I'll take full responsibility for that because I was already getting ready to tweet.
Thank you.
That, so
appreciate that. We leave 11 guys on base. I mean, we had 8 hits, and we
that wasn't even hell. We left 13 the next night, and then 11 yesterday.
It's we left. I guess we had a bunch of we had a bunch of guys hit. They hit a lot of guys. I mean, I don't think anyone's throwing at anyone in close games, but damn, Petrutz took one, McCants took one, Hodo took one. Bronny got hit 3 times. Did he get hit 3 times
On Saturday
Friday?
or on Friday's game? Yeah.
Crazy. So
got hit yesterday. I still don't think he got hit.
They reviewed it. Birmingham said he got hit,
and they confirmed it too.
Yeah.
Times in 3 games.
Crazy. But it's a ways to get on base. I mean, you're not drawing a lot of walks. You got bad approach at the plate, but you take 3 on the arm and whatever. All in all, up and down that lineup for Auburn, they had 10 hits. Ike Irish is a professional hitter. That dude's good. All right.
I don't like that guy. He's got an attitude. He came off real unlikable.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got another year, so shut up because we might try to pull him over to Tuscaloosa.
I would love him if he decides he wants to come play in Tuscaloosa. We can get him to pull an Aiden Holloway.
Yeah. I mean, if we could get away, if there's nothing, if nothing else, if no one listens to this podcast, if nothing, it would be great for us to be somehow mentioned in that real cryptic secondary violations press release that our athletic department does.
Friday afternoon at 4:45.
Into that.
I have been mentioned in that. It was not by name, but I did do something that was in one of those releases.
Anyway, they up and down their lineup, the guys. I mean, Kate, how do you say his name? Bilou. Yeah, that dude could rake. And they didn't play Mason Mainers on the first night pinch hit, but every time that guy came to the plate, I mean, the ball got smoked. Stanfield is, seems like he's always on base. I mean, it's not a bad lineup. I just think it's not a good pitching team. Drew,
we seem to make a few of their guys near the bottom of the order look better than I think they really are. And I'm talking about guys like Caden Green and Fabian. We seemed like we never could get those guys out, especially those first 2 nights. So I think that was the frustrating part. I didn't think their lineup was going to be as good, even as Ole Miss was. And maybe in the middle, I feel like in the middle of the season they had Irish out. It was either Irish or McMurray. They were saying, I can't remember. But they were all fairly tough outs for most of the weekend.
Yeah, Roger, you had something there on their team.
Look, Irish had been, he's a catcher, but he had arm. That's when they put him in right field when Bobby Pierce hurt. And McMurray a few games earlier in the year.
Pierce has been out. I mean, Pierce is a player. I mean, so again, they got players now. Now, here's the problem with their team. I don't know. They're going to lose some of these. They're going to lose a good number of these guys, and they're not It doesn't feel like they're real portal heavy. I mean, obviously Weiss came in from where did we decide he came in from? Was he
Kent State, wasn't it?
It's you remember
potential Alabama basketball opponent this year?
Yeah.
I think he came from the MAC. I could be wrong. They
did California.
They said Auburn's got a top 10 baseball or recruiting class. So
okay.
Last year, they compared to the Florida State situation, they missed the regional for the first time in 44 years. Immediately, while everybody's playing in tournaments, went out and hit the portal. So they're kind of able to get a jump start on some of those guys. So I feel like Auburn's going to have a good team every year. Sometimes they're going to get unlucky. And I think they were more unlucky this year than bad. Not great
Yeah.
certainly, but I think they just lost a lot of 1-run games, as Hunter said last week.
2-8, 2-8 in 1-run games after winning.
Oh, we got to be one of the two. Yay.
Yeah, all right. Hey, yeah. Hey, hang the banner. Again, Ferrone, not a bad game. Moses comes in, gets a big out there at the end. So they walked the guy, but then got it out the end.
Miami of Ohio was where Cooper Wise came
Miami,
from.
that's right. Yeah,
And
that's
I
right.
imagine listener of the podcast, Wendy Moza.
Yeah, that's right.
He had a good strikeout on Saturday too.
Yeah. We like the parents to listen. We like, you like parents like to hear their kids mentioned, but only in a favorable light, as you know. And we try to keep it positive. But no, good outing for him. All right, so we get through that game, and then you want to talk about perplexing. We go into Saturday. We got Zane Adams going. They got Chase Alsop going. There's some arm talent there with Alsop. Griff, you saw him. You've seen him a number of times, I'm sure. With those, I mean, dude's got arm talent.
Yeah, it definitely was not surprising to see him go out there and deal. And I know last year Barry Allen would know exactly what I'm talking about, but they've had guys last year that were supposed to be better than I think they were injured last year. And this was a guy that he came out and he was throwing gas. He absolutely no surprises there, but another kind of slow off start. We got the first run in the first inning. I'm like, here we go. We can kind of get it rolling, and then
got up 2-0.
Yeah. And
then just freaking boom.
Yeah. Those next two innings, they brought the lumber.
Yeah, that game turned on a dime. And to me, it turned on Butch Thompson getting thrown out. And I thought that was a good move by Butch because, obviously it's very intentional. The second you step out of the dugout to argue with an umpire on ball and strikes in college baseball, you're going to get tossed. So he knew what he was doing, right?
Also thought it was cool that he ended up going to the parking deck and watching the game with the fans from there, respect.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Hey, all the Barner listeners here, I know they're listening because they love to listen when we
like David Housel said. I know you're still here.
They were always on the Days of Misery deals when we did Auburn games. I know they're listening. Next time I'm down there in a couple of years or whatever, I need a parking lot invite. I need a hookup out there, a parking deck. So he gets tossed. To me, though, that was a pretty boss move by him because there you go. This signifies to your team, hey,
I'm still in it.
I want to win this damn series, and I don't care if you're 7 and whatever they were, 7-21 at that point in time. I want to win this series. And, as soon as he did that, they go out and, within an inning or so, put up a 6
Carl Nunemaker's just a great head coach.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They put up 2 6 spots now with some help. But that game just flipped all of a sudden. It felt like, I don't know, that felt more like a basketball game where a team gets momentum and you just can't do a damn thing about it, Hunter.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then, for us to end up coming back, in retrospect, I kind of wish we wouldn't because I ended up getting reinvested in it. But it was kind of great because I didn't have to pay attention for a little while. And then I'm like, well, damn, we're making a game of this. And then I was fully invested. You talked about the TJ shot that I thought was going to get out.
Yeah.
And then Max swinging it one out of the zone to end the game. Just another frustrating night.
Yeah. Two guys, tying run on third, 1 out, and 2 strikeouts we get, from who struck out? I guess was it Snell and
Snell and
Gassetti. Mac is a guy who is. Go ahead, Roger. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, run at second, and the tying run at third.
And tying at third, yeah. And Max gonna put that ball in play usually, right? It's just. It's hard to lean on the same guys all the time. But our bullpen. Good news. Return of Matty Ice, Meghan.
100%. We've been saying, where's he at for 6 weeks, and really the last couple weeks of just like, okay, when's he coming in? When's he coming in? He came in and he did his job really well, and I think that bodes well with postseason coming up. That's another arm that we have back.
And
Yeah.
perfect time to bring him in too, because you essentially had nothing to lose. You
Yeah.
put him in
Yeah.
a game, you were down 12-2.
Mhm.
You might have, I mean, yeah, we were closer at that point, but at that point, you're
Yep.
still kind of playing with house money by putting him in.
Right. Tough outings for Probst, Faye. I mean, that's when, it kind of unraveled a little bit. First, they got to Zane, but they got the Probst, they got to Faye. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess we were, hey, when we know Faye's got good stuff. It just, he thought there was something mechanical there. Had a good weekend last weekend. Rough night this night, and never got a chance to get back out, where he might sometimes get 2 outings. Decent job by Colson. Heiberger did a great job, and then Moses comes in again and gets the out there at the end. So I think we're seeing, and I was going to kind of talk about this a little bit later, right now, but this is probably a good spot for it. In our pen now, there's an ebb and flow throughout the year, right? And you're kind of like, okay, who are you confident in? Who are you not confident in? Has maybe this happens every year, but it feels like this year it's been a lot more inconsistent. Roger, you're shaking your head like you agree. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, it's a long way from the days of Matt Foster and then Tommy right after him to close things out at the back end. And you knew you all
right.
get a so them. It's just some guys have been up and down so much.
Right. Jake Leger to Chase Lee. Remember that or whatever. I mean, or years we've had things like, I think that was 1 year with them. It just feels like you can take all our bullpen guys, kind of put them in a pot, and it's almost, it's all like potluck, right?
Roll the dice, see which one comes out.
See what's happening. Yeah, no, we haven't, and fortunately right now it's kind of like stock up, stock down. I mean, Moses stock up right now. Heiberger, hey, definitely stock up. I think Buchanan's been good lately. Faye probably stock down. I mean, but he's good. You've seen what he can do. Probst on occasion has had some good outings, but rough one the other night. Braylon Myers, big time stock up.
Yep.
Griff.
Yeah, I mean, I said last weekend to Hunter's point, why would you bother bringing him in at LSU? You could bring him in this weekend, and I thought, this was a better spot for him to, get his feet wet again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought, guys out of the pen, and then definitely going to yesterday. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but Alton Davis stock still high, and then Braylon Myers, absolutely, he's
through the roof.
Yeah, right now, absolutely number 2.
Yep. Drew, have you seen a season? Yeah, I'm sorry, Roger. You start over, Roger.
Stock up over the last couple. Austin Morris.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good.
Yep. Drew, have you seen a season, or you think of a season like this, or at least one of the ones we've been competitive? I mean, you feel the same way. Like, I mean, just the bullpen is, if the bullpen is consistent this year, if you've got a steady stream of guys that are kind of high leverage, low leverage, is 13 and 17, maybe 15-15?
Probably. I don't know when the last year, maybe the year that like Gilbo and Camplain were freshmen, the year we missed the regional. That was so far away though that a lot of those guys were freshmen.
I was going to go way back, Drew, and I was going to say 2001. Remember 2001, Drew?
That was
we threw Michael Rainwater in the SEC tournament.
That was 2000. But 01 we were that was 2000. But that was the same thing. You got guys like Kevin Shomas and Matt Goldsmith, but 01 was bad too because of But this year, I think, and I'm always an Aiden Mosa guy. I like what he has in his arsenal. But if that ERA was 4 and not 10, maybe we have a couple of extra wins. Like I think the LSU game kind of. I think bad positioning kind of screwed him a little bit. And then there was that one deep ball to the gap that TJ just missed that Caden Rose probably would have been a can of corn for. So he may be one that really has been not benefiting from great defense behind him, because I think he's really a lot better than he's shown.
That's a good point. And defense, you mentioned defense, and we can just bang our head about our defense, because I think we're so used to a very good defense, right? You mentioned Caden Rose. All right, when your outfield is Tommy Sato, Caden Rose, and Andrew Pinckney, and Drew Williamson's over at first base, and I mean, even going back a year before that, Zane Denton was a pretty damn good third baseman who could pick it. Not that Gage has been bad there, and Jim Jarvis at short. I mean, Bronny's been good, but he's a freshman. Has made some, he makes some spectacular plays. Jimmy probably doesn't make, but Jimmy probably more consistent there. man, it's just it's a whole different world for your pitchers when you know that all they got to do on average is get 3.2 outs an inning, not 4.6.
Oh, Hess had to get 6 in the first yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I even think of some of the guys we've had out there too. Your Tyler Gentrys, your TJ Reeves, other guys that just obviously pink, but like the guys that also just have cannons. That okay, not every pitch is going to be perfect, but these guys can also mow somebody down if they have to throw far, and that's just been not in the cards at all this season.
Yeah, how many outfield assists do we even have this year?
I think it's
3 or 4.
Maybe
Double
4?
play.
5 or 6, I believe. I mean,
it's what the scouts call plus arm. You know what a plus arm is, Drew?
What do they do? The grade, the 30 through 80. I think we've got a lot of 40 grade arms in the outfield. I mean, I had a weak outfield arm, and I played little league ball, so I'm not trying to slam anyone, but it's not what we're used to, I guess.
I did too in high school, but I mean, I pitched, and they'd stick me in the outfield while I went pitching, and my arm hurt the whole year. But I mean, the point is, there are guys. Here's your outfield. All right, you've seen the little meme of how they do a little league team, and it's like daddy's son is at shortstop, and the fat kids in right field. It's totally different, right? Your best arm is in right field. Your best range is in center field. The guy that can rake but can't field is in left field, right? I mean, most of our outfield.
We have 3 left fielders.
I think our team, you put all your best in Little League when they're 11 and 12. You put all your best players at shortstop. I think all of our guys were probably Little League first baseman or something like that.
Yeah, it's just right.
Not all of them, but a good bit of them probably.
Right. TJ is adequate in center field, but after you get Caden Rose out there, I mean, Caden is this guy's going to be up in the show one day, probably because of his defense. And TJ can cover some ground, but again, you don't have that cannon arm in right field. You don't have Pink out there, not on pinking.
Every outfielder we had last year would have been the best defensive outfitter on this team.
Yeah. So it's tough, and I mean, and again, not a knock on these guys necessarily. It's just, hey, Will Hammond would be a lot better left fielder, and we know
Morrow
that
Tomley would be the best defensive outfielder on this team.
Who would?
Morrow Tomley would be the best defense.
You're a Morrow Tomley, Drew?
Right now, or
number 27?
He might actually right now still. He's 40 years old and would still 41 and might still be the best defensive.
If you ask him, he definitely would tell you.
Yeah.
But and again, not to knock the guys.
Confidence.
Yeah, not to knock them. They're just out of position, right? I mean, it's just it's tough. Hodo's playing first base for the first time, really. You got 3 left fielders. Couple of the Evan Slide's a good, more of a right fielder.
He can track him down. Like he was probably the best at tracking balls down.
Right. And then he just wasn't hitting. So you he'd get him out, and now you got this situation. So you're going to have some defensive issues. And good God,
we hadn't even talked about second base yet.
Yeah, second. Yeah, and we'll get to. I mean, the same thing. Bryce Evelyn, he showed some real leather. I mean, it was a I called it a defensive clinic for the kids last night in those last 2 or 3 innings, but he just wasn't hitting. And you had Max in there the weekend in Mississippi State, basically, kind of sparks us a little bit that weekend. And Bryce isn't hitting. You got to make trade-offs, and you can only do what you can only do what you have the roster to do it with, right? And so that's a challenge. We got to get better defensively in the offseason. How do we do that? I know we're not recapping the season yet. Megan, what do we do?
Go find some arms in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, we're supposed to have guys coming in. I haven't followed our recruiting. I'll care about them when they get here. But, yeah, I mean, go use the portal for what it's there for.
Right. Hunter, you got any thoughts on this? We're complaining about everything. What's the solution?
I mean, the new guys can't be any worse.
As defenders.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're new guys and they don't have 600 SEC at bats or 500, the guys are there, that's again, it's a trade-off, and you're just stuck in that situation. And there are probably a lot of teams in this situation as well. I mean, you can probably pick apart any, if we watched 60 games of, pick a team in the Sun Belt or pick a team in the, Big 12, you could probably pick that team apart this way. I mean, it's just so obvious with our team, but there's just not a whole lot we can really.
Yeah, I was going to say, being here, I've got a lot of friends who are Texas Tech fans, and I mean, they've been, regional, super regionals for the past couple of years, and they've been complaining about the same stuff here, saying, "Man, we're like, our bats look terrible, our defense is garbage. Like, we have to." And this was, now 2 weeks ago, and he's saying, "Y'all just came off beating 2 or 3 off the national champs, and makes me feel great." But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be part hitting the portal, part trusting what Coach Morrison and the whole staff do as far as recruiting. But
yeah, it's got to be a priority, because I mean, again, you probably again, I go back to that question a minute ago. You're 13-17 in the conference. What would you be if you just, for defensive purposes, had last year's outfield, maybe last year's first base? I mean, just how many games does that flip? Couple.
Probably win the league or close to it.
That's right.
I think our records flipped if we had our outfield. Well, I mean, because you got to think their bat too.
The
But
bat,
even if those guys we have now, if they had the same defensive abilities and arms, but they're still hitting the exact same, our record, I think, is at least flipped.
It's probably better. Yeah.
I know for me, at least, it puts me in the same headspace as how we all felt when 2020 ended because of COVID. It's like, man, this team is, the potential of that team and, the defensive potential of this team both may have. I mean, that same mindset of, what could have been, or how would it have looked different.
Back to that game, we fall behind 12-2. We were one strike away, I think twice, from getting run ruled. And I mean, I had taken the iPad, put it back in the backpack. We were pretty well packed up, ready to go. And Hamilton gets the double to right, scores a couple. Snell hits the home run in the same inning. So we get a 4-run inning. We cut it 12-6, and it's kind of a feel good thing. But I mean, I didn't. Meghan, did you feel like there was any chance in hell of us coming back from that still?
They got my hopes back up, but I still didn't think we were going to win at that point.
Yeah.
I did. Like, I was all in. I really thought that and especially when that ball hit off TJ's bat, I thought, okay.
Well,
I think that was the next inning.
And I can only imagine how disheartening that would have been for them.
Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
After Cade's home run, we loaded the bases.
Yeah.
On pitches and a walk, and ended it with Max striking out with. So we had cut it to. We got 4 there. We'd cut it to 12-6, but it really easily 12-8 or closer even in that inning. And then to bounce back and do it again in the next inning, and with near miss as well.
Yeah, and then we go to the ninth and you can do the same thing. But I mean, the story all night is you just you left. What I said, we leave 11 or 13. That
13.
13. That miserable.
Double digits in all 3 games.
Double digits. All right, here's the in case you don't remember. All right, we get Gates Miller doubles to lead off. Trutz flies out to center field. That was a rough at bat, but I mean he fouled a bunch of balls off. But then
and Gage did not advance to third base.
That's right. Yeah, and you mentioned you pointed it out. Yeah, tell them what kind of happened there. Could have happened.
Well, then after that, get a hit by pitch, and then Hamilton singles. And if
Gage is on third,
on third, would have been on second. Bronny would have ended up scoring. Scoring on that hit because he would have taken second.
Because stolen.
In that sequence, and he did end up on third after Hamilton single, but he could have scored, which would have tied the game. And he takes off as soon as that ball goes to the short brick wall behind
Mickey Mouse Little League backstop. No, that's they had to copy us and build their version of a home plate club, and instead of they built it out so they just because they can't go any further, they can't move their home plate out anymore because they have that electrical thing out there. Yeah, and so they just now it's just it's like 15 feet to the backstop,
and it's like Tommy Moore hates at our place, and it
the bricks.
Got back, like it was coming right back to the catcher, but it got by him. With Ron Reed, he would have beaten anything that if the pitcher picks it up and tosses it back to the catcher, he would have beaten it. But his first read was it's coming right back to the catcher. I can't make the.
And we had that happen last week against LSU where a ball bounced directly back. I think it was Hameter that was out at home plate on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now the speed difference those two is pretty significant.
Oh,
but,
a tad.
But the wall is much closer too. And I mean, you don't want to make that last. I mean, you make that out at the plate when he's the potential tying run, particularly since you only had, you had Snell and Gassetti coming up with a good chance. Okay, come through.
Yeah, just put it in play. Yeah, Drew, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit I quit on the team on this game, and I wasn't there, so I had no choice. Well, I had a choice, but when it got down to 8-2, and there's going to be 3 out of 56 games in a year, you're not there. You're just like, screw it, I'm going to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I went to watch the first part of a documentary of the 1990 Yankees on Peacock, and it's really good. And after they show the segue into episode 2 with sexual predator Mel Hall on the screen in his prison interview, I don't think I want to watch the second one. No, let me go see what the score is now. At that point, it was top of the 8th, 12-6, no outs. Ian Petrut's up, bases loaded. So I'm like, oh, shit, I got to go turn this thing back on now. So I was really down bad after this game on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, I slept fine, but I was pretty down after the way that ended. So we just that's my personal story from that. I apologize to anyone for quitting on the team. That's what happened. So
well, I'm just glad to know somebody with a Peacock login for next year when the NFL puts a playoff game.
What happened was I subscribed for $4.99 or whatever. I want to watch the rest of this documentary, so I've got it for another month. But I'll do it again when they put the Chiefs back on and play on the playoffs. So whatever.
All right, so you mentioned it. Okay, we'll flush that game because at the end of you got props to the team for coming back and fighting through it. Because if you get rolled 12-2 in that game and you go back and sit there and stew about it all night,
probably lose the next day.
We're gonna get wiped the next day.
Yeah.
And Paul, in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, we had 9 of our 13 hits and 9 of our 11 runs.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch until we struck out on pitches in our eyes.
That's right.
Down to one strike multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So all of a sudden, this means Saturday is a pressure game because look, you're going in the weekend and last week we were like, hey, if we sweep this and we win a couple games,
that's because y'all were talking too big. Me and Drew tried to tell y'all.
I picked a sweep too.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Me and Paul did
because I picked a sweep. Griffin picked a sweep.
Yeah.
So
Megan
and Roger were going to
Megan took a
anyway.
fucking broom down there.
I didn't. I did not take it.
That's our first F-bomb, I think, on the podcast so far.
I picked 2 of 3. Christian can bleep that, I think. I picked 2 of 3.
Delete my reference to sexual predator Mel Hall too.
You have a player comparison from Mel Hall?
Yeah, we can't go there.
I picked
Dustin Moore, maybe. I don't know.
Depends on what you mean by player.
I picked a sweep, but I really felt more like 2 out of 3.
I felt 2 of 3. Yeah, I felt 2 of 3.
2 of 3 too.
And we 2 out of 3 were there for the taking. So,
but also in retrospect, we probably shouldn't have won 2 out of 3 last weekend against LSU.
That's right. And we've been ass on the road all year. I mean, in reality, right? We got two sweeps
in SEC.
Yeah, 2 sweeps at Georgia and Kentucky. That we were just bad those 2 weekends. State, I mean, you gotta discount that one a little bit. We win Ole Miss. I thought we'd win this one and kind of balance out.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Kentucky series where they just kind of stomped us. Unfortunately, we really should have won one of those first 2 games.
Right. So here you go into Saturday, and it's like, all right, oh hell, we're 12 and 17. If you're 12 and 18, and I don't care where your RPI is, because I mean we're plummeting in the RPI at this point, right? We started at 11. We're 18 now. I don't know where we dropped after that game.
We dropped one after last night. I don't know how.
Really?
South Carolina moved up 4 after losing yesterday.
Yeah, there's some teams really on the move. Cal Santa Barbara's moved way the hell up. NC State's moved way the hell up. So we're still sitting 18. So I mean we're good, but you started getting into this issue of, hey, there are 5 teams right now, 13 and 17 in the SEC if you're 12-18, you've seen that stat a number of times. You know that how few of the 12 and 18, or less than 10% of the 12 and 18 teams have made regionals. You get swept, then you go lose to South Carolina or whoever the hell you were going to play in the tournament. Meghan, I mean, you're really on the bubble at that point, right? And who wants to do that?
I mean, at that point, I think we kind of deserve to be sitting at home. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday was must win no matter what. And
Yeah. All right. And so must win means you bring out your hottest arm, who was scheduled anyway.
Also, I don't know that I've dreaded a baseball game more than I dreaded yesterday's game. I was not excited for it because nothing bad was nothing good was going to happen essentially.
Right. I felt better than that about it just because I think the Auburn bullpen had me convinced that there's a reason this team is 7-21 or whatever they were. And Hess's 2 outings previous to this one, and the way we came back the night before. Roger, a little bit about Hess and last night. I mean
he had great number. He deserved way better than he.
Oh yeah. When I think I tweeted, he should have been up like 14-1 when they pulled him.
Yeah,
I mean 6 2/3, which he should have been out of because.
Well, if he didn't have to get 6 outs in the first inning, his pitch count's a little bit lower, and he probably can go 8.
Well, he had that 7th and finished. Gage just eats that ball at third instead of throwing it.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
4 plays a double play.
Right.
Back to the mound, and I mean he gave up 10 hits, but it should feel like, other than a triple home run back to back in the third, it wasn't great or anything. And he doesn't walk anybody for the first.
Yeah, and I'll take responsibility for the triple home run. I was at the urinal in the when that happened, and having to listen to what's his name's call of that while that happened on the radio overhead.
Greg Olson.
No, the radio
Bertram.
guy.
Andy
Bertram. Yeah. Who does a good job of baseball, by the way.
He's really bad. He's really bad at basketball.
He's horrible at basketball. He's really good at baseball.
He just follows his predecessors on complaining about the referees.
Yeah.
Basketball.
But I think he's really good at baseball because I've caught some of their. He's been doing that for years for them. Like you mentioned, Hess scattered 10 hits. And then we did something. We hosed 2 guys stealing.
Also, real quick, I'm at dinner last night. Went to the new University Club. It's great. Would encourage everybody to try it. I'm at dinner, and we have a text thread with all of us guys on there and gals, Meghan.
Mm-hmm.
And I get 2 consecutive texts that are drinkbleach.gif. And also the previous inning had ended like 3 minutes prior when we had like taken a lead. So I'm like, so it's drinkbleach.gif and JFC, and from Roger, which is rare that he would ever say something like that. So I'm like, what in the hell's going on, guys? I was like, I can't watch. I'm eating. And then thankfully Matt Gassetti saved us.
That's right. Yeah.
What had happened was we had
another error by our second baseman. Yeah. I'd already seen one of those, and I'd seen him not execute a double play.
And
also because the footwork of our first baseman.
He's got there.
Then a guy that had stolen 27 bases already gets cut. So
he threw 2 guys out that inning, didn't he?
Mac hosed 2 guys. Yeah.
Guy that got on the error, then a strikeout, and then Weiss got a hit, and they cut him down too.
Yeah. So big, again, the way you win a game with 4 errors is you look at Ben Hess's line. He strikes out 9. He didn't walk a soul. All right. So, and
9 strikeouts. So 1 away from tying his record.
Yeah. And let's see, did we, I don't think he hit a guy.
I don't think he hit anybody either.
Yeah, I don't either. Let's see. Now he hit one guy. Hit one guy.
What's his new highest pitch total, I believe, because it was 108.
108. Yeah, 108. Yeah. So
he hit Manners.
Yeah,
right.
Manners.
Yeah. So the evolution of Ben Hess into the season, I think I tweeted this. We won 13 conference games over however many months this has been. What, 3 months? Ben Hess just won 3 of them in 14 days. that's pretty remarkable. I mean, that's Friday night guy stuff, right?
And I mentioned to you at the game yesterday, Paul, that even, I mean, if you just look at his raw numbers and take the ERA, I mean, strikeouts to innings, the batting average against,
Yeah.
I mean, all, outstanding.
Right.
Too many in there and gave up a few too many long balls earlier in the year. But even when it was the pitch count that was getting him in the third and fourth inning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse. When's the earliest we think he can go? Could he throw Wednesday?
No.
Maybe Thursday, but I would doubt that one.
Yeah. 108 pitches. I think you do. I mean, if you think about the natural thing, you go bullpen game somehow, you get through it Tuesday, and then you go to your rotation, and it's for Ramon Adams and Hess. Maybe you can bump him up a day.
But I feel like if we can get to the NCAA tournament, Lord willing, he's our best arm right now.
Yeah,
I think he's got to throw game one in the NCAA tournament.
I would agree with that.
But if you're
I'm probably going Adams game 2.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Possibly,
All right. I mean, here's my thought. If you're a 2, let's figure out who you're playing. But let's say you're in the North Carolina regional and you're a 2, and Northeastern or somebody is the 3, and then
Fairfield is the 4.
the SWAC team or whatever, the 4.
I won't Carolina in that situation.
Yeah,
I'll be good with throwing Faye game 1 there.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? I think the good thing is we've got options. I mean, we got 3
We have
starters.
3 guys that are pretty similar. Like, I don't think we have anybody that's just like head and shoulders.
I feel like Hess is. I don't know, Roger. What do you? I feel like Hess is advanced.
Where we thought he would be.
Yeah. I feel like he's separated.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree, but we've also seen bad Hess.
We've seen bad Hess. We hadn't seen it in 3
Been
weeks
a while, though.
Yeah, it's been a minute. He's got that breaking ball. Here's what I see, and maybe I've said this before. And Roger, because I taught the whole damn game, and as you know,
now you know how I feel.
All right, he's the fastball last night. All right, when we're getting into what did he go into the 7th? Okay, so in the 7th, I mean, he's pumping that fade. We heard that grunt a couple of times, but the grunt only got him 93, 94. But he's hitting 95, 96 in his 90s of his pitches and his hundreds of his pitches. He's getting stronger as it goes on. But what I'm seeing is that breaking ball is a game changer because he drops that breaking ball at 78. I mean, the pure curveball. His slider to me is almost his waist pitch at this point because it doesn't feel like to me the slider is, starting knees and breaking down to the feet. He throws it away, see if they can chase it.
It's like that 0-2 pitch. You're trying to get him to chase, and then you come back with the heater. You come back with that breaking ball.
He went heavy on the fastball, but when he throws the breaking ball, then you've got that in your head. I got to deal with this damn breaking ball if he comes with it. I mean, and I don't think he was doing that in those first 8-9 starts of the year.
And like you said, he's been getting it over consistently the last week.
Yeah.
It seems like being that the week at Mississippi State when he was sick, it didn't seem he went away from that max effort every single week, every pitch, and it's just is pitching more and
he's pitching, not throwing. Yeah,
early in the game he was 93, 94, and like you were saying, later in the game he was pumping 95, 96, hitting 97.
But at the same time, his strikeout numbers are up.
Right. And the walk.
Right. So just an evolution of being. I totally disagree with you, Hunter. I think he's separated from the pack. I think you find a way to get him somewhere in the,
I mean, that's what I was kind of saying when I was trying to. When's the quickest we can get him to throw? But I think we also have other good options. I think Zane's a good option. I think Tyler's a good option. I'm not Tyler.
Greg. Yeah, Greg. From. All right.
Who do we think do we think that? I mean, how long's it been since Cade's pitched? I mean, we said last week we thought he would throw
just that midweek game.
It's been a minute.
Boy game where he got overheated and came out early.
Yeah, so 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks ago almost. Right. 2 weeks from Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do Tuesday?
I asked his dad as we were leaving last night. I said, "Cade Tuesday?" He said, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
So, well,
Griff, what would you do? What do you do here?
Probably do Cade Tuesday. I mean, I'd like to think that I mean, we're going to need him to pitch it probably at some point in the postseason. That got to throw him back in there, and then probably be a bullpen day. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if anything else. Now, then we get to Wednesday, and then I've got the bracket pulled up and say we win Tuesday. Depends on. Let me see. So we're playing Arkansas Tuesday. Then I figure we'd probably go. I guess, yeah, probably. But
you might get you get Hagen Smith from them, probably, maybe. Yeah.
I'd say so.
I'd say they'd maybe want to hold them and see if they get into the winner's bracket.
Hopefully they Jim Wells this shit and just don't know any of their top starters.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dave Van Horn did duck us the last time we played him in Hoover, so he was sick and couldn't play there or couldn't show up. So
yeah, Drew, what do you think on it? Well, who do you go with?
I would imagine we'll go Snell. I think it's too soon to bring Ferrone back. I can't remember his pitch count, but I feel like he got around 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't think there's even if we lose, and I feel good about our opening matchup.
Yeah,
I think even if we lose, we're going to be sweating it to Monday, but we're probably going to get in. We're probably going to get in. Mm-hmm. So I would try to, Cade, I think he can probably get us at least into the fourth. Mm-hmm. And then, you probably got to use Heiberger, Braylon, and Alton to win that. But you win that, you're for sure in a regional. I can't say, hey, you're not in a regional. And then, all right, well, if you got to play Arkansas, and I don't think they care that much about the tournament. They'll win, but they just don't care. So
they're going to be a national seed anyway. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas we're fighting for our life.
Yeah. So I think I don't know that we'll see Hagen Smith from them, but I kind of hope we do. I mean, heck, it doesn't really matter because if we beat South Carolina, I feel like we're in regardless.
Also, it feels like we are either going to be a 2 seed or we're not going to get in.
That does
there's
kind of
no
have
chance
those
of us being
vibes,
a 3.
Yeah. All right. Here's my thought. I think you go Woods. I think you limiting 3 innings max.
Snell, Cade Woods pitches at
LSU.
Sorry.
He doesn't pitch at LSU.
He doesn't really pitch, but he's on the team.
3 innings though, but 3 innings, that's his season so far, right? I'm sorry. But I think you go to Cade, cap it at like 3 innings because you probably don't want to go back through the order again on him. The thing we hadn't used Alton a lot. We didn't use Alton through 17 pitches the other night. Weather, obviously he would have gone the rest of the way, but the weather circumstances, you got Alton fresh. To me, that first game is the most important because it's against one of those teams that's in that same batch that you're in, right? There's 5 of them. We're all a little vulnerable. We're probably the least vulnerable of them. And you need to get that game. And then the rest of the week's kind of gravy. You got to come,
let him go 3 innings or 4 innings if we need to.
Yeah. He showed he could do that, extend his pitch.
And he could still come back. I mean, he could reasonably come if we were somehow, we haven't done this in years, but made it to Saturday or Sunday. He could still come back at that point, but let him throw 60 pitches on Tuesday if we need him to.
Right. I think
told me that when I was asking him what he thought about our 13 and 17, he said we're at the top of the food chain of the 13 and 17 teams.
Right.
So he felt pretty good. Drew, we talked with him as well, but we talked with Mark.
Not since then, but just I read what he wrote, and I felt like we're one of the top 2 13 and 17 teams.
Yeah, we've still got the highest RPI out of any of the 13 teams that are.
He said we were the top of that list, so he felt pretty confident.
Yeah, but we're playing South Carolina, who's probably the next.
Wouldn't be a good idea to go to South Carolina.
Yeah. But. When you go head to head, I'm looking at the last 10 games. We're 5-5. South Carolina's 3-7.
Yeah.
We are 13-8 with quad 1 win-loss, and South Carolina's 9-18. So if you're looking at that, I mean, out of the 5, I think we are significantly better than the 4 below us.
Right, and we got 2 out of 3 against them. Right, we got 2 out of 3 against LSU.
Yeah. And if you take Kentucky out of the mix, we have better comparison records than Florida and Vandy.
And Vandy, who we didn't face, by the way, So again, I think you pull out all the stops and try to beat Carolina, just so you can keep playing. Because I do think, from our standpoint, you're not going to improve, right? For us, it's either getting in or not. It's not like we can go get a regional host or whatever, but but I do think there's some as they call them, data points. You hear that a lot in the particularly in the basketball conversations. Definite data point there with South Carolina that we need to get through. So all that back to the third game of the Auburn series. We don't have to talk about it a lot, but I mean, Hess was the story. Big inning there at the end. There was the one play where we've been leaving a lot of guys, and I was doing my usual fretting about leaving guys on base. 11 guys left on base. I think we had 8 at some point, and Gage Miller gaps one, right?
Paul called it. He said, "Get a gap right here, Gage." And
find a gap.
First pitch, 3-run double.
Yep, found the gap. So
I hope that you said get a hole one now.
You go.
Evelyn.
So that was big. The other interesting thing in the night, again, I mean, this is a wild game. We had 15 hits. We walked 6 times. They hit us 1, 2, 3. They hit us 4 times. So we got base runners all night. Scored a lot of runs. The night Ian Petrutz had, the home run he hit was his only official at bat in 6 plate appearances.
All night long.
It felt like he was a guy that was due to kind of come out of a slump. I mean, he hadn't had a home run in almost a month to the day, because I believe his last homer was against A&M at home. And, it felt like he's a guy that, he gets swinging the bat well and brings home some runs. He's contributing, obviously. But, I felt like it was – I mean, hell, his celebration looked like he was exercising some demons. He was just so pumped up in the dugout and whatever.
Big relief.
Yep. Yeah, the video Nelson had was just, he was thrilled.
Yeah. Drew, you were watching the broadcast, the in-game interview with Rob where he addressed that about Ian. Talk about what he said about Ian. That kind of triggered our buddy.
Was it the one where they thought he would have hit for more power this year?
Yeah.
I think that he didn't. It wasn't an interview. I want to say the announcers just said because they do those pregame chats with the coaches and all that don't get aired, and some of it's off the record, and I think probably a lot of it's in confidence and private conversations that.
Like with Mark Jennings.
Yeah, and so I think what Rob probably told them before viewing was they didn't think, or they were surprised that Ian's home run total or his power didn't translate to the SEC. My thoughts on that are, if he's back next year, which I don't know what plus tool he has to get drafted, good college hitter, I think we'll see him back next year. I think he's going to hit double-digit home runs next year if he's back. Yeah. So usually those second-year transfers into better competition do a lot better their second year.
Who are we talking about there?
Petrutz and why he's not hitting home runs. And the transformation.
It looks to me like he shrunk during the year. I mean, he was bigger and bulkier in the fall.
You just couldn't hold the mass. I
mean, it's just from just looking at it.
Yeah.
But and of course, Mississippi State, it cost him some pounds. I mean, because I first met him, I thought, this is a big old looking dude, and then I don't know, maybe it's seeing him next to some of those other guys, but it just doesn't seem like he's as big as he was when he got here.
Well, he also went from being a DH to an everyday field player too.
Yeah. More to it. All right. So again, and that was the big hit of the night. That was a great moment right before the bottom fell out, or actually lightning pop. But a real interesting night. He walked 3 times. I think he had a sack bunt and he got hit. So he was 0 for 0 in his 6th at bat, or 6th plate appearance, before he hit that homer. A couple of hits for Bronny. Hodo got a couple of hits, swinging a little better bat. Max Grant with a couple of hits. Then we
beautiful bunt from Max.
The bunt was incredible.
Mm-hmm. It got 4 hits in his last 4 at bats.
Yeah.
He knew he had to make up for something.
That's right. Again, the Bill Hammeter, Billy Bats.
He's hit last 9 games. He's hitting 444.
Unbelievable. Yep, unbelievable. They're great for him, and super. Been fun to watch that. I mean, totally out of the blue, unexpected. Roger, thoughts on the Billy Bats tour?
This weekend's 8 RBI more than doubled his season total.
See, so 5. So he had 5 one night, and then Gage had 5 on last night. Yeah. So good night. Again, pressure game. I mean, we won this thing going away, and you watch that game, and you're like, why the hell did we beat these guys 2 other nights? Well, they got 2 really good starting pitching outings, and we certainly helped them. Overcame 4 errors, which it'd be real interesting if we had the advanced stats to go back and look at 4 error games in Alabama history and what our record is.
I'm gonna step out and say we're not gonna overcome 4 error game. We will not have another game where we have 4 errors and win.
And overcome, right? So we did this night. Anyway, all right. So we get that done.
Also, real quick, soapbox, absolute bullshit that SEC Network didn't say anything about why this game wasn't back on TV.
Yeah.
I'm following along on Twitter, trying to figure out when the game's going to start back. Get home, expect it to be on SEC Network, and they've got like their studio show, and they never said anything about why it wasn't on. If you've got to send your people home, understand.
Yeah.
Say something.
Yeah. Let them know.
They just assumed we'd already won, like before the game came on.
Well, you haven't been watching Alabama baseball long enough.
Yeah.
I did not assume that.
Well,
you didn't watch the game the night before either, apparently.
They just they went ahead and put what the bracket was going to be if we won, and they just talked about it like
like the game was not happening then.
Yeah.
I flip over the network and Haley McClenny's talking about the softball games. It's like, it's like,
this is why you should go to the games.
That's right.
Even though Paul quit.
Even though I quit and went home, and I was watching the last 6 outs from bed at the Hampton Inn.
You were listening to the dulcet tones of Roger Hoover.
That's right.
Big producer of the show probably influenced Paul to get to the hotel.
Yeah. There was
somewhat now. She had no need to be there.
There was no chance in hell our executive producer was going to hang around at Sanford Stadium, Hitchcock Field, whatever else they call it.
I'm sorry, it's Goff Stadium at Hitchcock Field at Plainsville.
Or something else.
Yeah. All right. So back to the tournament. So officially, we're the 7 seed. Somehow that all the tiebreaker worked out with a bunch of 13, 17 teams. We get the 7 seed. We're playing South Carolina. Who? What are they? Are they the 11?
10.
Yeah, the 10. So we're playing. Yeah, that makes sense. We're playing the 10. This is Tuesday, 1 p.m. ish start. The cool thing, I mean, this Georgia LSU in the first round. That's a hell of a way to kick off the SEC tournament.
It's going to be weird for the Tiger fans to be there in the sunshine when they're usually 2 a.m. waiting for a 13-inning game to finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can say from my own experience, having gone in the past when I was in college and with friends, it's I would encourage everyone to get to Hoover. It's such a cool atmosphere. It's just the most fun I've had outside of maybe an SEC football game, title game or a national title game sort of setting. I mean, there's just so much fun. Everyone that I've run into there, regardless of fan base, has been fantastic to be around. So
except for the Whistler.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Whistler, not so much. But if you love baseball or if you just love the SEC and you can, deal with dangerous Hoover, I'd get out.
Just be careful.
But you've got, again, the kickoff, you got Georgia and you got LSU, and LSU's playing as well or better than anyone in the conference. Georgia had been, and they dropped 2 out of 3 with Florida this weekend. I mean, that's 2 teams that can make some noise. Now their pitching is going to run out, but getting that on day 1, Roger, that's a pretty cool matchup.
Power bats right there too.
Right.
Tommy rolling right now. Jared Jones and obviously Condon is just, and I love the is it Colin, the other guy for Georgia?
Sure.
Collins.
I love that guy too. He's and as you've noticed or mentioned several times, Georgia's pitching has turned
around. Yeah, coming around. You won't see those guys on Tuesday, but what you're going to get is a bunch of bullpen action. This might be a 19-18 game with 2 bullpen, right?
It could be.
Or it could be the exact opposite because Hoover's a big field.
That's true.
We might not see any hits. I will say, yes, roughly 1 o'clock, but our game is 30 minutes after the conclusion of that Georgia LSU game. So if you're planning on going, I would shoot closer to noon and have that buffer instead of saying, we start at 1 and we start, 11:30.
All right, so let's talk SEC in general here. Who you got? Let's play it this way because I mean, all right. If I give you the top 4 or I give you the field, who you taking?
The top 4 just on pitching depth because
pitching.
they're having to play one less game.
Yeah. Anyone disagree?
No,
No,
top 4.
you're not going Georgia or else. I mean, okay. All right. Well, let's do this. The field. If you took the field, who in the field is your most likely to win it? Top 4. All right. Top 4 are what? Kentucky, Tennessee, A&M, and Arkansas. So it's everybody else in the field.
I'm going to pick
probably Auburn. They're playing really well right now.
That's right.
They were not eligible, so they will not.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Unfortunately, so
did they impose a self-imposed ban on the
They
tournament?
probably should have if they have any type of NCAA issues. That's what they'd like to do in years where they're shit is they'll just self-impose a postseason ban like they did in basketball in 2021.
Yeah. All right, Griffin, if you took the field hypothetically, who you got?
I mean, I guess just based off the seedings, then you could say State. But to your point, Georgia's pitching has looked pretty well.
Yeah.
Obviously, this weekend notwithstanding. I think Georgia potentially. I mean, Charlie Condon, those guys, they can just absolutely rake.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Drew, who you got?
I would go Georgia as well. I think the winner is probably going to come out of bracket 2 though, with Tennessee or Texas A&M. Those seem to be the stronger teams in my opinion going in.
All right, Meghan, if you had to pick from the field,
My heart says us.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on.
Realistically, I don't think there's a team in the field that could do it.
nobody in the field. Roger, you got anyone in the field?
Ooh. No, it's
No.
Mississippi State.
All right, State.
They
all right.
they don't play well there typically.
All right,
They do. We do know they have some starting pitching, and
Yeah. right.
they're starting off with Ole Miss, and then
Mhm.
That's also a pretty cool storyline that they're Ole Miss and Mississippi State playing.
Yeah, first round. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. All right, here's who
In
I
the
got.
late game too, so that Hoover's gonna get weird.
Yeah, things can
Tuesday
get weird.
night.
Lounge Dog will be running. He's the mayor of the feral children. By
The
the
feral
end.
children will be just going nuts. There will be fights over foul balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dippin' Dot
All right.
sales are going to be just through the roof.
Yeah, I did see
Excited for Mark Jennings.
Mark's Dippin' Dot cart at Dippin' Dot's cart at Auburn was just. I mean, that you couldn't get close to it. It was.
Were you able to get some special menu items?
No, I couldn't even get near it. I couldn't wait.
Were
You know,
they
I said-
selling the batting helmets for safety reasons for
Yeah.
protective
Yeah, absolutely.
little ones?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Mark made 6 figures just on that.
Oh, no
3-game
doubt.
series. Yep.
I mean, $6.99, $9.99.
Hey, this was cool at the barn. I will say this: I had not seen this before. Maybe when you go to the concessions there, you take your Kaneka dog and your 2 beers and your fries or whatever, and you put it on a thing here, and the thing scans it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no barcodes or whatever. It's just taking pictures or something. I don't know.
I think. Do we not have that at basketball? I don't know because I don't need an $18 cheeseburger when I go to a basketball game. And normally Roger has me club seats anyway. But yeah, I think we have something like that.
Yeah. First I'd seen of this. I mean, I may just be out of touch.
They have the self-serve, and then you go up and ring it up.
Yeah, but they had to ring it up. Yeah.
But this, above that, this was like self-checkout grocery store.
Yeah, it just scans it and it gets it right, and it's right there, and you put your card in and you walk out. I mean, it's like everybody's got a better concession setup than we do. I mean, it's unreal.
I'll let Craig Burns know about that.
Yeah, you let him know. I'm sure he's a listener or a watcher of the podcast. All right, back to that question. Here's my answer. If I've got the field, I'm going LSU, and here's why. If you just get through that damn game on Tuesday, you find a way to beat Georgia, and again, your pin and Georgia's pin, then you can go right. I mean, you got 2 starting pitchers that,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you got 2 starting pitchers as good as anyone in the league, except for a couple of them. And so watch out for LSU. If you got to pick the field, if you're all our degenerate gambler listeners who are betting, $250,000 on college baseball games, or
I don't think Coach Bohan is listening.
You say
Well, We are giving you the inside info. So make sure when you go place that bet based on what Paul Graham of the Weekly Joe podcast says, that you tell the cashier that you have inside info.
That's right. Yeah, because I'm just like, oh, I got if I'm LSU, I got to get through Georgia, and I'm playing pretty damn well, right? I just came off a sweep. They beat us they lost us 2 out of 3, but they had won series, before that. And then I can probably go gauge jump Luke Holman on Wednesday, Thursday,
and beat Kentucky. I mean,
yeah, which is doable, right? All right, so LSU, that's your answer for the field. We anyone in particular of the top four, you feel like stand out, or they're all kind of interchangeable except for maybe Kentucky?
well, as bad as I hate to say it, maybe Tennessee.
I feel the same way.
I would
I
think
feel
A&M.
fortunate that we got them as early as we did.
Yeah. That series win looks awfully good right now, by the way.
Right. They've won several SEC things this year. I'm not really in them.
I think this is the only series they lost was to us.
Exactly.
Yep. First week of the year. Yep. What do you think, Griff?
I was going to say that bracket too for sure, but I like A&M. I mean, they can.
Yep.
They've turned it on at
God, they can rake.
I mean, I think it was against Vandy or whoever they played, maybe Florida. No, they lost to Florida. But Vandy, I think 2 weeks ago, they were down. Georgia, they were down like 9-0, and then all of a sudden, I look again, and they were up 19-8, and they're about to run rule them. I'm like, where the hell did that come from? I mean, they can just. Prager is still great. I mean, as far as pitching goes, I mean, Hagen Smith looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'd probably go maybe A&M, Arkansas, then Tennessee, but they're they're all pretty interchangeable.
Right. I feel like Arkansas doesn't have enough offense to power through these games that get further down. Drew, who you got?
I think Tennessee's going to win it. I don't know who they're going to be. LSU could be. We could see Luke Holman again on Thursday night. I mean, if the way it's going, it'd be all kinds of weird. But I think Tennessee's my pick. I'm not sure who they're going to beat though.
Okay. All right, Megan, who you got?
I think it's A&M.
A&M. You think? All right. Just based on the bats. Yeah.
I think based on the bats, and I think I would say Arkansas, but Arkansas historically doesn't care about the SEC tournament enough.
Yeah.
And none of those top four really should, because I think they're all locked into national seeds.
I think they're all locked in. Yeah, top 8. I think they're all top 8.
So
I think Georgia's a top 8. I don't know. What do you think, Roger? He walked away.
They need to win. They need to beat LSU for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard
a couple more. But
Georgia's bubbling out as a host at all right now. From everything I've been hering earlier today.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You think they're out?
They might not host.
That's stuff I was saying.
No, that's interesting.
I'm not saying it.
Yeah, 5 of the top. They're top. I don't remember where they are on the RPI, but there's 5 of the top 6 are SEC teams in the RPI. They're one of them. So I was just kind of wondering, Roger, who you got?
To win the whole thing.
Yeah, win the thing. Yeah.
Tennessee. A&M and Arkansas to me just don't seem to play good there. I don't.
Yeah.
Tennessee's they've all got bats, and Tennessee's got a lot of them.
Yeah.
And then, depending on what happens with LSU and Georgia, Tennessee, if they stay in those brackets, Tennessee against either LSU or Georgia.
Okay. Interesting. Nobody takes Kentucky, who's one of the co-champions of the conference. If people have been down in Kentucky all year, that means Kentucky's going to sweep through this thing and win it.
Also, real quick, Roger Hoover, I know is a listener. He made sure to point out in the broadcast yesterday, there's no such thing as co-champions in the SEC.
Oh, is there not? Okay.
Both champions.
All right. We're both champions. All right. Thank you for clarifying, Roger.
It's live culture. Everybody gets a trophy.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no more Pac-12, so conference of champions. We'll all be champions together.
Interestingly, so I mentioned 5 of the 6 top RPI right now or SEC teams. Only North Carolina is infiltrating that elite club. They're at number 5. They've had a great stretch run here. You look at RPI: A&M 1, Arkansas 2, Kentucky 3, Carolina 4, Tennessee 5, Georgia 6. So actually, of the 5 of the top 6 are SEC teams, and then we're next of the SEC teams. You mentioned, Megan, the 13 and 17 club. We're sitting at 18, Carolina 19, State, again, state's out of conference or something. RPI doesn't like them a lot, but they're sitting 23. But then you get into the Floridas at 24, Vanderbilt 27, LSU at 30. Interestingly enough, in the RPI right now, as we start looking nationally, guess for me, who is the highest ranked non-SEC team with a losing conference record?
Oh,
Virginia. I have no
Wake
idea. I don't know what
Forest?
It is not Virginia because they have a 18-12 conference record,
All right.
and they're 12.
I'll
They
go another ACC. Would that be Wake Forest?
Wake Forest, 15-15. So
No, they're
not a
up there. I don't know if they've got a
they're
winning
11.
record.
They're 11.
Okay.
Wake got swept this weekend. Virginia with a big sweep, I think, of Virginia Tech. Hunter, who you think? Or just
I literally have no idea. My
No
guess
idea.
is not going to be worth guessing.
All right. Roger? Yes.
what part of the really?
Yeah, it's kind of Midwest.
Ooh.
Indiana.
It's
Hey,
wet.
hey.
Yeah, it's not Midwest. I'll tell you who it is. It's
Oklahoma?
No, you're on the right. You're on the right track. It's TCU. They're 40th in the big, and they're 14-16 in the Big 12. So they're 40th. Their RPI is actually behind Ole Miss's, who's 32. But remember, Ole Miss has had the strength of schedule going for them. They're second strength of schedule, but they're 11-19 in the conference. Oklahoma is actually way the hell up now. They're 23-7 in the Big 12. So interesting to see that all those SEC teams with the 13-17 records are above every other conference team with a losing record until you get down to 40. So again, it shows you how well the SEC is being viewed, at least in the RPI, which is a big driver of these seedings. Do we get 11 teams in the regionals? Griff?
No.
I don't think so. I mean, there's been years past where I think there's been, a better case for it. I don't see it this year. It's probably 10.
All right, 10. All right.
I know that I've read places online that, say that if you don't even have a winning record in your conference, you shouldn't make the tournament, which I think is Florida horseshit. But
Right.
I think we're probably sitting at 10 conference wide.
Drew?
Yeah, I think 10. I think Florida will not be in. I think they're.
So you
I
think
kinda
they're
think
the
they're
most
lose-
vulnerable?
Yeah, because if they lose, all right, if they lose tomorrow or Tuesday, they're going to be one game over 500. And so I just
Right.
don't think a 28-27 is going to get in. They win Tuesday and then lose two, then they're back to one game over
That's-
500. If they make a deep run, then maybe we do get 11. I shouldn't say we, because I don't care about the rest of the SEC.
Yeah.
Maybe the SEC does, but I'm going to predict 10.
Yeah. Megan?
No, I agree with Drew. I don't think Florida gets in. I think their midweek's going to kill them, kind of like it did to us a couple years ago.
Yep. Roger, you think 11 get in?
If it's not 11, Florida will be the one that.
If Florida's the one out, okay. And the thing, like right now in a vacuum, when you look at it, you could say, yeah, 11 get in, but they're going to be a little bid stealing issues. Somebody's going to, up and win the Big 12 tournament out of nowhere, or the MAC, or somebody's going to win the Indiana State's Missouri Valley tournament, get an auto bid. I mean, something like that's going to happen. So I think it's a stretch too. And I'll probably go with Florida as the most vulnerable. And they're like us a few years ago when the midweek was so bad that probably it cost them spots in the RPI. Going into this for us, what do we have to do? I mean, what do we have to accomplish this week, Roger?
Win Tuesday. I think we may be safe regardless. It depends on the upsets elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because notice, and we talked about with basketball too, a lot of times they don't pay a lot of attention
Don't care. Maybe not.
John Cohen is on the committee.
Is he?
Great
He's-
corner.
I thought he rotated off, but I guess you're right.
thought he had it too.
Yeah. Megan?
So if he, and I believe he is, and as we saw last year, he's going to screw us in any way that he possibly can.
Noted Barner, John Cohen, as you might say. Yeah, Megan, what do we got to do? Do we need to win 2? Do we need to win? We need to win 1, maybe. I think. What do you think?
I think we definitely got to win Tuesday. I mean, the more you can win, better. But shy of us winning the whole thing. We're not getting a host spot, so we're not moving up anywhere.
Right. So really, I mean, and even like this weekend, I had this down as one thing to say. The losing 2 or 3 as opposed to winning 2 or 3 really didn't cost us much, aside from giving us a little more security going into next week. I mean, we were sitting at 11 RPI, but you were going to lose one of those games probably, and it was going to drop you more than winning 2 anyway. Drew, your thought?
I think we're in, but if when I'm there on Wednesday with hopefully most of you guys, or Tuesday, I'm sorry, I'll be celebrating it as if we won the College World Series. I think that will absolutely cement it, but I feel like we're already in.
Yeah, Drew. I mean, Griff.
I think we're in. I looked because of just how the weekend went.
Right.
Teams that are in our position are traditionally, 17, 18% going to make the tournament. If we had won a couple more, it jumps up nearly 25%.
Right.
43, 44%, and obviously go from there. I think we win tomorrow or Tuesday, as we're 2 days out, and then I think we're in as well. But if we win Wednesday and bow out after that, then so be it. But I don't think it's going to hurt us at this point.
Yeah. Even a loss against South Carolina, and then utter chaos around the country probably only drops us to mid-20s at the worst RPI, right? I mean, because what's going to happen is you're all these teams at the top in the top 20 kind of start playing each other eventually, and then it doesn't move the thing a whole lot unless some teams comes out of nowhere. But I mean, you don't have a lot of teams that come out of nowhere in a week like this because it's hard to win 4 or 5 games in a row. So I agree. I think we're in. All right, so great. So we're going into the tournament. I think we covered that. I think we know what we got to do. Let's wrap this up tonight with everyone's favorite segment.
Player comps, baby.
Drew, your good friend Mark Jennings, who still won't return my calls. I know Mark is sore with me from a few years ago when Hunter and I tweeted out really mean things after the Birmingham Iron lost to the Memphis whatevers, and I think one of our tweets said "Fire Mark Jennings." I know he's still sore about it, but you still got an in with him. Mm-hmm. We got player comparisons this week, don't we?
We do. You told me 3 of them. I checked with Mark Jennings. He passed along what he wanted me to say. This is not me pulling these things out of my rear end. This is from a guy who watches a lot of film and looks at a lot of projections and stuff like that.
All right.
Did you ask us how predictions for what we thought Alabama will do this week, or is that your?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think we will do?
I'm going to say we play 4 games. I don't know how that's going to go. Right. That's going to be my prediction.
Yeah.
Or it could be 3-1.
Right.
We won. Yep. We've done 4 games the last 3 tournaments. So I'm going to pick that again.
Okay.
Yep. You think we get 4 deep, Hunter?
No, absolutely not. I think we probably play 3.
All right. Griff, you think we go 4 deep?
No, I mean, Gump in me says we'll go to game 17. The realist in me says we'll probably play 3.
Yeah, Roger, what do you think?
Leaning 3, but with a chance of 4.
Okay, Meghan.
Yeah, most of been playing 4 games.
Yeah,
like win Tuesday and we win one of the other. But
okay,
Meghan thinks we play 6
or 5.
I mean, I would love it, but no, I think we go 4.
Go 4. All right, we go 4. All right, I'm gonna say go 4. I think
through how we could go 3-1 in a double elimination.
If you win Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, if you make it to Saturday, that's single elimination.
It goes back to single.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I think it's gonna be like last year. I think we get 2 wins. I don't know if I think we win. I think we beat South Carolina. I think Arkansas maybe gets us. Yeah, I think we get maybe a Tuesday win, a Thursday win, and we take losses on Wednesday, Friday.
My dream scenario is we win it all, and Aiden Moza gets MVP because he gets 3 pitcher wins in relief.
In relief, right.
That's my far-fetched scenario. Anyways,
shout out Wendy Moza, our avid listener. Back to the player comparisons.
Sure.
All right, so, Hunter, where the hell did you go? I mean, you're gonna miss the best part. Anyway, all right. The first player comparison we have for Mark Jennings, the best in the business, at Mark Jennings 55 on Twitter. Email. I don't know if that email is even still active anymore, but it's Mark breaks down film at AOL.com.
The email is active. I think we checked it, but it had been too long since we had previously checked it, so it deleted everything. And I'm going to tell you, there were so many emails in there for when Mark got fired from his job, just expressing condolences and asking people to break down film. So those aren't there anymore. Those are they've gone to be with AU Christians. They're just not there anymore.
Shout out AU Christians.
Yeah.
AU Christians, rest in peace. We really
A
need
shining star got lost too soon.
really need him this weekend. All right. So Mark
right.
Jennings, best of the business, first player comparison this week. TJ McCants, Drew.
Yeah, we look at a player from the 80s and the 90s, National League predominantly. Bats right, throws left, just like TJ. Any quick guesses?
Ooh,
What team did he play for?
He was in the National League. There's at least two. I don't know who else he played for, but he
in what era? 80s or 90s?
Mid 80s to mid 90s.
Those right, bats left. Dave Justice, Drew.
No, you got to look at the Mark Jennings comparison.
He was a lefty. He threw lefty.
It's not going to be a black
It's
guy.
absolutely going to be a white person.
Yes.
Or a Hispanic guy.
No, it's not a Hispanic guy. He's a white guy. The pride of Chesterfield, Missouri.
Yeah. That helps a lot.
Yeah,
Give up.
yes.
Yeah, we gave up.
Larry Walker.
He's
Not
Canadian.
Larry- No, it's not Larry Walker. It is this guy right here.
I almost said Andy Van Slyke.
Van
Damn it.
Slyke.
I almost said Andy Van
Yeah,
Slyke.
Mark says he's very comparable to Andy Van Slyke.
Andy Van Slyke.
Speed, hits a little bit of power. Got some
Yeah.
speed. So batting average kind of topped off in the. He's hitting a little better this year, but yeah, I think that's a.
I remember
I
Andy
like
Van.
that comp a lot. Didn't Andy Van Slyke have a little bit of infield too?
I don't know.
think he came
Cardinals
up as a
and
third
Pirates.
baseman.
I remember from the Pirates. I don't know if he played for anyone past the Pirates.
Yeah, I remember Andy Van Slyke, Drew. All right, that's a good
Yeah.
one. All right, our second comparison is Matthew Heiberger, aka Matty Ice.
All right, you're looking at a 6'4" pitcher. I think Matty's tall. I don't know if he's 6'4",
tall,
but I
yeah,
think
he's tall dude, yeah.
6'3". Looking at a guy in the reliever predominantly in the 90s. He is from baseball card doesn't say where he's from.
Parts unknown.
He pitched in the National League predominantly.
Era.
The 90s, kind of early mid 90s. I don't know if he made it quite to the late 90s or not, because he gosh, if I say this, I think it'll give it away.
He died or something. Did he
Gave up a pretty big home run in the 90s. Who?
Donnie Moore.
No, and it was the 80s, and he's right-handed.
Is it Mitch Williams, Drew?
It is Mitch Williams.
I think we're 1 for 15 now on the guesses. Good job,
Yeah.
Paul.
Mitch
Nailed
Williams.
it.
Wild thing, Mitch Williams.
Yeah.
I remember Mitch gave up a home run to Joe Carter to walk off the World Series in 1993. Drew?
Yep.
Yep.
So
I remember Mitch
Don
Williams.
Russ 94 Mitch Williams card.
Glad you hung on to that. I'm sure it's worth a lot.
Yeah. Glad I found it in the pile.
Yeah. All right. And our final player comparison, and this one's obvious to me. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the answer.
Right, who is it? Who are we doing?
All right. We're doing Zane Adams.
It's Barry Zito.
It's Barry Zito.
It's
But
not
Barry
very
Zito's white, so
Barry
that's
Zito.
not who Mark would
No,
come.
this is a white guy.
Oh, okay.
But Zane Adams. So this pitcher, he had a very, very long career, 60s, 70s. So Roger probably watched him when he was a kid. He is going to be 90 years old if he makes it to 2000 or to 2028.
He's gonna
So,
be
yeah,
how old? 90?
he's old. He was born in 1938.
I was really hoping this one was going to be Steve Avery.
No, but I've got the card. This is going to be a tough guess.
All right, so this guy's born in 1938 and he pitched
His career spanned 1959 to 1983. And Mark
I know who
Jennings.
this is.
What's his religion, Drew?
I absolutely know who this is. Let me see if y'all get it.
What's his religion?
Is it not Jim Cott?
I was going to
It's
say Sandy
Jim.
Koufax. Okay, all right.
It's Jim
there you go.
Cott. Is that who you were going to say, Paul?
Jim,
Jim-
yeah.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Jim
What about
Cott,
you?
Drew. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
Jim
Jim
Cott.
Cott, another lefty. I don't know how
Primarily
I-
reliever.
Yeah, I don't know what he won 25 games, and He went 25-13 in 1966. He threw 304 innings.
I did
So
pitch, yes, for many years.
so yeah, that's that. Maybe next week we'll do some. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yep.
You guys did pretty good on that one. Hit 2 out
So
of 3.
your comparison to Zane Adams is somebody born like 62 years before him.
Probably. Mark's comparison is
Yeah, it
born
was Mark. It
62.
wasn't Drew. Drew had nothing to do with
So I watched a clip of Jim caught on YouTube, and Mark said, I said, this doesn't really look like Zane. And he said, well, if he's going to have to make these adjustments, if he wants to have a pro career like Jim Cott, and then throw with that kind of windup.
Well, be sure to tell Mark that, hope Thom is doing well, and, appreciate these comparisons. They've been spot on all season.
They've been right on. Yeah,
Our
that's
accuracy
great.
has been great. His is always on point.
Yeah, I mean, I think the consensus here is that should be Barry Zito. But I mean, if he says it's Jim Cott, he's the best in business.
Who are we to argue?
That's right. Who are we to argue? All right, great. All right. Well, that'll wrap up episode 6.
Y'all have a great night. Roll Tide.
Weekly
See y'all in
Joe.
Hoover.
Thanks again. We'll see y'all there again. 1 o'clock-ish or after the first game on Tuesday against South Carolina. Thanks, Christian Sykes. Thanks, Crimson Crossover. At Weekly Joe Pod. You'll see this on we'll be on YouTube, we'll be on Apple, we'll be on Spotify. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you after we win this tournament next week. Thanks.